Can you guys hear me? So if you're... Okay, good. I don't know what happened. I may have to reboot my... I guess I have to restart my router or something. Maybe there's... I don't know. There's one thing I can tell you. There's no way I can rip out stitches without my glasses. Yay! I hope it's working. That's the first time that's happened in a long time. It was definitely here then, because Facebook and YouTube both had it. So, and I believe the last question I got asked was, why do you put it together and take it apart and put it together again? So I'm going to be able to show you that when I fix this. Okay, everybody's back. Isn't that nice? The chat still, at least my chat still shows. I don't know what I'm going to do. It might be broken in two. It's the same stream, so it should... I don't know how it all works. I wish I knew more than I do, so I wouldn't make mistakes. Is that how you guys feel about sewing? If I knew more, I wouldn't make mistakes. So I could sew more and rip out less. Making sure I got right sides together. And last week, my brain, this was one of the last things I did, and I went way too long. And I was like, I think I did something wrong, and if I did, I really don't want to have to fix it now. So that's what made me end last week's show. Here we go. So you want to make sure you have right sides together. Grabbing my Applique Scissors. These scissors take away all the strain that you would experience across the tops of your hands. Those of you who've gotten them recently, how do you feel about them? We're all out of the large right now. But I use the large to cut across strips, and these are the mediums, which I use for cutting like little applique pieces. Oh, I should do something that'll impress you. Let's see. Oh, I dropped it, and look, it stays. So your hands don't hurt. Your hands might hurt a little bit in the beginning because you're still learning how to hold them. But you can see you can cut a little horse. Well, I was going to cut a horse. We'll pretend it's a camel and he's got his feet together. That would normally hurt your hands to do with the wrong scissor. Okay, confirming that I have right sides together. These are already sewn. I'm going to join these two fabrics. And then we cross it. I got a bunch of thread in there. Okie dokie. Is this what it looks like when you guys sew? You get little pieces of thread everywhere. And take it back to the light tablet. And this, you may just... What? Why isn't it going on? There we go. Oh my goodness. So what you can't tell is this tablet's really far away from me. I have very short hands or arms. If I get too far away from the microphone, you can't hear me. So I'm kind of contorting myself to show you this. But now you can see that you are square. And we're going to sew across here. And last time I didn't do it right. So just do, this is going to be more typical of what you would experience. Because you don't have to glue them all. You could just glue and immediately take it and draw your line. Sometimes it's easier to do all your gluing and then draw all your lines. If you're going to do a long, really long piece, like for a king size quilt, that probably will be the way you'll do it. But I didn't do a solid line, I did dots, and so it'll come apart easier. Now we're going to draw a line on there. Take it back to the machine where my thread is off of, out of the needle for some reason. That's so funny. Thank you, God, for needle threaders. Start in from the edge. Lower the needle on the actual line. You have a scar from a seam ripper? Oh, you have it around your neck. Okay, so back first. And what you don't know if you're not familiar with the satin edge foot, this is one of the feet I invented. And there's the wire connected to this white guide. And I have the wire lined up right next to it. Right next to the needle on the sewing machine. And the wire and where the edge of this guide come up are kind of lined up with each other. In other words, the guide wire, which I also call a guide pin in my instructions, is positioned so that if you focus here, looking at this line that you've drawn, lining up with the edge of the white guide, that your needle is automatically going to be on the line. You could lower your needle, lift and pivot if you need to, and then sew in. It was a gift. We used to provide you guys with seam rippers, but someone else was making them, and people have asked me to make them, but I can't make it. I can't keep up with making my pressers. And there are other people selling them. You should be able to find them. But should you need a replacement for your seam ripper, know that you could order that on the phone with me. So if this gets dull, this whole unit here, we sell that. I think they're like $13 for just that. And this was one of the ones we used to sell. Sorry, I know it's no fun for me to show you what I can't give you. So now I'm going to take this apart. And everybody kind of does this, but what they generally will do is they will just cut, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance. But it's easier for the sewing machine to leave it open. And then you could press it, make it nice and flat. And what our liquid-based glue does is it stops you from having to pin, and it prevents things from lifting up on you. So you could just do a little dot on the corners, or you could go across so that it lays nice and flat. There's no harm in using your iron. So basically what we're doing is we're just, when we go to fold this, it's going to make it easier for the sewing machine. Well, that took forever. All right, now it's time for the other one. And I can't remember if I did this right. I'm going to take a sip, and I usually mute when I take a sip so you don't have to hear me drink. I'm being a little naughty. I'm having a ginger ale. It just felt like a ginger ale today. Still have all the clips on here. And this is where I've been keeping mine. This is a little organizer that we make using the octi hoops as the pattern. So if you have the octi hoops, you have exactly the pattern you need to make one of these. And this was in season 2, I believe. Okay, so I'm just going to double check that I sewed them all right before I sew them. And that's correct. I haven't sewn them yet. Yeah, so that was the one I messed up on, thankfully. And here we go. Oh, another thing I forgot to tell you is that I shortened my stitch length on... Sorry, there's like a really loud, like an engine sound outside. Okay, startled me. So, take your stitch length, if it's normal, at 2.5 and take it down to like 1.9.